Hello again, and welcome back to Nonprofit Marketing with Purpose. I have some special guests that I interviewed for our Facebook Live this last week. I interviewed the Stop Human Trafficking Coalition of Central Missouri, and I had guests Loretta, April, and Nanette from that organization that explained to me how they went about planning for their year-end giving campaign. Now, they came to me actually before they even started their planning, and they scheduled a consultation session, I don't know, probably in like September. So it was pretty great. They definitely had a jump on things because Loretta is a details person. She is a planner, and she is the only staff member that they have. And she was in charge of making sure that this campaign went off without a hitch this year. And she felt like, a giving campaign and ongoing marketing can feel hectic at the best of times, but then if you add in the holiday season, it's pretty much just a recipe for total overwhelm. And so they saw the warning signs and then took matters into their own hands. And we hung out and talked about what they might do. And then with some free resources, they put together a marketing plan for the season. And they loved it so much that now they want to roll out a plan for the entire year. So in this episode, they're going to talk with us about how they decided what to put in their plan, what worked for them, what they'll do differently next year, and really just their marketing lessons learned overall. Now, just a reminder, the resources that they used to plan out their campaign are free resources, and they're available to you too. So you can download them at maycreate.com and click on nonprofit resources, and you can find the nonprofit marketing plan template and the assets sheet that they went through to determine what strengths their board members had that could be utilized to promote their organization. So it is with pleasure that I introduce you to Nanette, April, and Loretta from the Stop Human Trafficking Coalition of Central Missouri. Let's get to business. You're on a mission, and you just need more people to know about it. And whether you're brand new to marketing or a seasoned pro, we are all looking for answers to make marketing decisions with purpose. I'm Monica Pitts, a techie, crafty business owner, mom, and aerial dancer who solves communication challenges through technology. This podcast is all about digging in and going digital. I'll share my marketing know-how and business experience from almost 20 years of misadventures. I'll be your backup dancer so you can stop doubting and get moving towards marketing with purpose. So before we jump into this interview, I just want to let you know that if you are in the middle of planning your nonprofit's marketing plan right now, then I have a solution for you, and it's not just downloading the free template, because sometimes DIY is great and sometimes it's just straight up overwhelming, right? So you don't have to do this on your own. You can join me and other nonprofits at the Nonprofit Marketing Plan Workshop and Consulting Package. Save the date for February 24th. My goal with this workshop and consulting package is to create a supportive environment for nonprofit organizations to collaborate and create attainable, less stressful, and more successful marketing plans. So if that sounds like something that you need, then save the date and we're going to get it all done. Okay? Registration opens February 13th on maycreate.com. I hope to see you there. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to have with me today the Stop Human Trafficking Coalition of Central Missouri. Well, I'm sure I don't have like every member of your team with me, but I feel like I have a well-rounded representation. One of the things that I've heard a lot while talking to Loretta, because she came and hung out in like one of my open office hours, and it was awesome. And you gave really great advice to the other nonprofits who were there. So thank you so much for joining me for that 20-minute session, is that one of the things you did to pull together and put together an awesome end of your giving campaign was making a marketing calendar. And since we are focusing first quarter all on planning, it seemed like a no-brainer that I would have to get like the scoop on how that all came together. I know that you guys raised $11,028.50, it looks like, during Como Gives this year. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know what Como Gives is, it is our local year-end giving campaign that supports 142 of our local nonprofits during the month of December. And this year we raised $1.6 million collectively. Yay. Every time I say it, I kind of get chills. I'm like, oh, did that really happen? Can we do it again? We don't know. Why don't we kick off this interview with introductions? Nanette, do you want to go first and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Nanette Ward, and I'm one of the co founders of the coalition, the Stop Human Trafficking Coalition of Central Missouri, that was formed in way back in 2008, and can share a little bit more about who the organization is after the other two folks introduce themselves. And I currently serve on the board and also serve as direct support to survivors of human trafficking that we serve. Loretta or April?
Sure. My name is April Rothweiler, and I serve on the board for the coalition, for the Stop Human Trafficking Coalition of Central Missouri. I've been volunteering with the coalition for, I'm not exactly sure how long. I know it's been a little over 3 years.
Hi, and I'm Loretta Scout, and I'm board staff, and I do a lot of things for the coalition, everything from grant writing to development to resources for survivor needs, admin, kind of you name it.
Yes. And we're very fortunate to have Loretta. It's been just since last year, but our organization has been able to really create a much stronger foundation administratively, financially, organizationally, with the help of Loretta, because for 12 years, the organization, or 11 years, who's counting, but for the first several years of the organization, we were all volunteer driven, all volunteers doing all of the work on the board and helping with survivors, having events. And so it's really helped turn things around. And I know played a key part in our more successful Como Gives campaign. So briefly, the coalition as a not-for-profit serves people with serves people who are victims and survivors of human trafficking, both labor trafficking and sex trafficking. They've all been US born citizens, so I want to make that clear because often people think that it's foreign born individuals. There are foreign born victims and survivors of trafficking in our communities, but we have primarily served US born citizens and primarily victims of sex trafficking. That looks like many things. That could be emergency exits out of their situations, maybe people who have been exited but are floundering to get their feet on the ground and need lots of different support. So we have direct support. It's like volunteer case management, but also we do free educational programs to raise awareness, to provide that educational piece throughout mid-Missouri. We collaborate with law enforcement, with domestic violence shelters, with mental health programs, with probation and parole, many, many different organizations, and many of the wonderful not-for-profit organizations that in fact also participated in Como Gives. So we could have over 20 individuals at any given time that we're juggling to provide direct support to, and whose needs vary from having nothing to perhaps having a job but needing car repair, so everything in between. And just a quick background on the coalition's involvement in Como Gives. We were first invited and able to participate in 2014, and our budget at that time was so small that we were given one of the scholarships to have that fee that was paid through a scholarship, because that's how little money we had at the time. And I think that's important to share with folks. And so we were happy to finally get to where we were able to pay our own fee. We were raising $3,500 a few years in, and then it went up to $6,600, $6,862. So we were really ambitious, thinking that we'd almost raised 7,000. So we made a goal in 2019 of let's raise 7,500. Well, we actually raised 3,670, and we're still scratching our heads about that, but that definitely sort of lit the fire under us for 2020, and to make things turn around and not only make that goal again of 7,500, but to, as you know, and commented, that we certainly exceeded that. So that's a little bit of background on the coalition and our involvement in Como Gives.
Yeah, I know that your story that you just shared about the kind of the evolution and kind of the momentum of giving in the campaign is certainly not like this one isolated incident. For even for businesses, it's like you have to build this momentum in order to move it forward and fulfill a goal. And so I love that you guys keep doing it and that you see more success, and you saw a lot of success this year. So that's totally amazing. Now, before we did the or before the campaign started, we did a consulting session together. And I used the things that I learned from our consulting session in a recent podcast that we did, which was serving multiple audiences in your social media. So I definitely learned a lot about how you guys are planning and communicating with people. So kind of to kick us off into like our discussion of how you guys put together that marketing calendar, do you want to talk a little bit, April, about how you guys decided what to do in our 2020 Como Gives campaign?
Sure. So we were lucky enough to partner with Make Create. Monica here actually provided us with an assets development sheet that each of the board members filled out, and it allowed us to look a little deeper into what our gifts were. And then we took those gifts, wrote them down on paper, and then put those in a category that would best serve the coalition. And that's kind of how we developed each of our teams. And from there, I feel like we really hit the ground running last year. And we've come a long way. We've developed some really great stuff, some strategies to help us on social media campaigns, in-person campaigns, building a stronger relationship with current donors, past donors. And I really feel like this year in 2021 is going to be strong just from developing those kind of jobs and dividing those up. So we're definitely very appreciative for you giving your time to us, Monica, for that.
No problem. I love solving problems. It's like my favorite thing to do. So Loretta, I know that you guys tried some new things this year. I mean, you tried out your having like a calendar and a more planned out approach. So tell me about some of the things you tried.
Well, so yeah, first off, we did a marketing plan, and we literally took your marketing plan template and threw in every single day in December. And our committee decided we wanted at a minimum to post 3 times a day. And then we brainstormed and came up with content for every single day for every single post. And one of those great pieces of advice you gave us is you just got to do it. You just got to get started somewhere. And that's exactly what we did. And it was just phenomenal. Not only, I'll tell you, it took a lot of stress off of me because I knew what to schedule out. I knew what our goal was. I knew what our plan was. So I could actually focus on some other things during the month of December and not just Como Gives. So that was one of our big new things. We also incorporated, we are very blessed in this community to have a lot of really great organizations in the Como Gives family. And so we don't need to recreate the wheel. So I went out and I looked at what works for other organizations. We've got some really fantastic ones doing some great work. So I went to their social media sites and looked at what got high engagement, where their best reach was, and incorporated that. So we have a very active working board. So we went out and got donor matches. Now our donor matches were a little different than probably a traditional donor match. So we went to a couple partners and said, if you will donate X dollars in mental health services, we'll use that as a donor match to get folks to donate on a specific day for mental health services, because that's a big need for a lot of our survivors. And when we went back and looked at the data, those were some of our highest giving days. So that was something new that we tried this year that went really, really well for us, were those donor matches. The second thing we did, a lot of our survivors utilize emotional support animals. And because of the nature of the work we do and the confidentiality we need to keep for our survivors, we actually incorporated my dog into one of our posts. And so we created this great idea that for every $100 you donate, my dog will get a treat. So I did some live videos, and it worked really, really well. And we also got to showcase how dogs provide so much unconditional love and support, and how our survivors use them as emotional support animals. So we got to shed a little, love on our animals using my puppy, and he enjoyed it. And it was a good day for us in terms of donor giving. So those were a couple of new things we did that we found to be very successful.
I love the idea of having the dogs involved, because I always am like pimping my dogs out in my marketing because they're so sweet and they're with me. And we worked from home for a long time with COVID last year. And the first day my husband went back to the office, he texted me like, would I send him a picture of Quimby, who's our small dog? He's like, because I'm really kind of sad here without my emotional support dog with me. And I was like, oh, Mike, that's so sweet. Cause I don't like think of him as like needing the dogs the way that I feel like I need them with me all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
And I think that the
it-
service match was like pretty genius there, guys. Because especially in a time where us businesses, we definitely didn't reach, not all of us reached our full potential last year. Some of us like barely skirted by for sure. And I love that you guys found a way for them to still contribute to your campaign and give value to people. That was really smart. And that builds awareness for them and it builds awareness for you in their audience. So that's like a win-win all the way around. That was so smart.
Well, and you also gave us that idea, Monica, because I remember you saying you need to think outside of the box. You need to come up with some creative ways to do that. And so doing like a non-typical donor matching and then Loretta coming up with the dog idea was just our ways to incorporate stuff that people really relate to.
yeah. And that service match also was able to highlight the organization that had already been involved with us. And it was also possible then to go to another mental health provider and say, hey, this provider is donating this service amount. Would you like to also donate? And that worked. So it kind of led from one to another because of that sort of acknowledgement that they also wanted to be a part of.
That's awesome. I had no idea that I said those things, so I'm glad that I'm glad that I helped. Sometimes I'm just talking over here and the words are blurring together. So, with all the things that you guys tried that were new this year, Nanette, what do you guys feel like you're going to do again for next year?
Well, we had a lot of, we have, and during Coma Gives, a lot of response when we share survivor stories. And so we have partnered with someone who has been able to provide some very wonderfully put together short videos of interviews of survivors. She's has a great sensitivity as well as a skill. And when we share those, we know that there's a lot of engagement. We want to do more of those. We know that there are many survivors who are willing to share, whether off camera or on camera, who share their story. And also when we share very specific examples of in the moment, this is how a survivor is being helped, people really respond to that as well. And we're able to do that in ways that don't disclose their identity or the confidentiality of the details of their situation. And it gives people something to relate to. Recently did a post where it was New Year's Eve and I was in a grocery store for someone who was newly exited and needed to go into safe shelter, and just simply shared that. That's something so basic as taking that time to get some food for someone who was just so grateful for something so simple that we take for granted, and that drew a lot of attention. So a combination of those things, like the service match and the dog, appealing to people wanting to give, but also things that just keep drawing in people's attention and interest, whether they actually give that day or not. We had Carl Edwards, who is a supporter. For those of you listening, hope you know that he is a native Columbia NASCAR champion. And he's been a supporter of the coalition and made a video for us, and certainly that drew a lot of attention. So we have a lot of wonderful partners in the community, whether someone like Carl, who's a well-known person, or businesses, and we have many volunteers who give in very passionate and committed ways and have stories of their own in their interactions with survivors, giving them rides, accompanying them to appointments. And so I think more of those we certainly want to showcase and highlight, and give people that really human touch to the things that we do.
Yeah, I know that one of the things that we talked about during our consulting session is that a lot of people just don't know that it happens in our communities. They feel like it's something that is only in big communities or is only in other countries. And so I feel like when you share those stories, and even what you're doing right now, right here, those little things like going to the grocery store, it really does make it more real for them and recognize, like, hey, this happens right here, which is kind of scary, really.
Yes. And about going to the store, it's like the acknowledgement by a survivor who's been isolated, exploited, basically entrapped, enslaved in human trafficking. Time and time again, we see a survivor, newly exited victim, going into a store and being overwhelmed of actually being able to pick off the shelves things that they want to eat, and then going into a safe space to eat what they want, when they want, watch TV when they want, however long they want. And these seem like small things, but when we share them, then people realize the significance of the support that they give and the transformative, sometimes life-saving help that is given by the help that people give us to be able to shelter people, to be able to buy food, to be able to fix somebody's car so they don't lose a job, and all those other things in between.
And the freedoms that we have that we don't even think about every day.
Yeah.
My actually totally digressing, but my 12-year-old, not my 12-year-old, she acts like she's 12, but she's 10. Anyway, she could be 25 or 56. We're not really sure, but she keeps yelling at me that if she had a car, she would go to the grocery store right now and buy what she wanted to eat, but she can't. And so she doesn't understand why I don't buy it for her. Anyway, I need to go to the grocery store after work. So, April, tell me about what you might do differently next time. Like, what did you guys learn that's going to kind of change your approach for next year?
So we're definitely going to expand on the donor matching because, again, I just think people like services that survivors need that are everyday services that we use. If you think about how COVID has isolated people just this past year, a lot of people have needed mental health services. And that's really like a huge need for survivors in the coalition. And think about how much further it's gone from all that's been experienced this last year. So we're definitely going to expand on matching services and matching donations in a unique fashion. And that's even going to go past like mental health services. I think we're going to try to even go into like chiropractic care and some other activities, body shops that might be able to do car repairs, those kinds of things. And then also kind of expand what Loretta did with her dog. We're going to look at everyday activities that people like you and I maybe do take for granted. And we're going to expand on those in a way that, Jane Doe walking down the street can say, oh my gosh, that never even occurred to me. And then also, extending that invitation for seeing and hearing more survivor stories. This month, actually on Thursday, we have, we're partnering with, I think it's Forum 8, Nana, is that right? For a documentary called Hope Road. And that's an opportunity to get stories out there. And these are real things that are happening here in Missouri. And since we've partnered with someone who's able to tell those stories for survivors without, further exploiting them, we want to be able to give that opportunity to people to see that you can be a part of that change by simple little things like sharing on social media, giving if you can't do, volunteering your time, services. It could be something as simple as giving rides as a volunteer, going grocery shopping and delivering those groceries, coming to community meetings and getting educated, and then sharing that education with other people. I feel like those are definitely things we're going to focus on and try and build on, because we don't want to necessarily introduce all new things, because I think a lot of the things we're doing are working, but we definitely want to expand and build on the platforms that we've already been working on.
Say what April was saying about Hope Road documentary. It's actually Thursday the 28th, Forum 8 Theater. So if anybody wants to follow up with us about that, this will be a case where most of the individuals, although one individual is in shadow, sharing openly as who they are. And one of those survivors who does share visibly, openly her story about having been trafficked as a child and as an adult is her first name is Misty, and she actually lives in Missouri and is one of the survivors we've worked with. So just a pitch about that is next Thursday the 28th. But yeah,
Thursday the 28th. Boom. Go
Forum 8,
support
1
and
p.m.
learn.
Thank you, Nanette. I always get the dates wrong.
Sorry.
Me too. If they're not written down in front of me, they go poof right out of my head, right? Loretta, I was hoping that I could ask you like a few of the details about how you guys kind of managed and got your plan together. So you said that you planned out each one of your social posts. Did you write them all yourself, or did you have your board contribute to write those? And yeah.
Yeah, so we started in committee work. We started with every single day and what's our theme for that day. And we all brainstormed together with the board and our committee about what's our theme going to be, and how can we spotlight our volunteers and our partners and those everyday tasks that are so important for our survivors. So that was step one, like what's our theme going to be for the day. And then we took that theme for like our emotional support animal day. What are our 3 posts going to be about? How we're going to start? What's our noon post? What's our afternoon post? Is this a theme that we could go into the evening with and create a couple more because we have great, easy content to curate? So it kind of started there, but I wrote every single post for every single day. Mm-hmm. And then I sent it over to my committee. We meet before Como Good started. We meet weekly, and I sent it to my committee, and we met and reviewed it and made tweaks and edits here and there. And that's how that process came together.
And then did you schedule them out like in a scheduling system so that they released, I know there's always going to be some on-demand ones, but did you schedule out a bunch of them too?
I did. So I use Hootsuite to schedule them out. And it's so easy because I put in all 3 of our social media streams. So we have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I scheduled every single day out. I could pick the times. And in the beginning, I did a little kind of market research to see what time works best. Do I post at 8 a.m. or do I post at 9? Do I post at noon or 12:30? Things like that. And kind of paid attention. So I did schedule out our first week. But then I went back and looked at the different times and what was performing well, and then scheduled out weeks 2 and 3, kind of using that knowledge we had gained from week 1 so we could schedule them at the kind of highest engagement times. But Hootsuite was amazing. It saved me a lot of time. It's a fantastic piece of software. We have the free version because we're a nonprofit, and all of our donations go to support survivors. And so it is a really great free access for nonprofits.
Now, I have to ask you, how did it make you feel? I know that going into the campaign, like anytime you're going into the holiday season, I'm freaking out. I want all of my stuff done literally before Thanksgiving. If everything for Como Gives and Make Create is not done for the whole month of December, is not done before Thanksgiving, I am probably crying underneath my desk because I'm so it's never gonna happen. So, and I know that you were feeling like that stress too. So how did it make you feel with having it planned out?
Oh my gosh, my stress level. So if you can imagine one of those little thermometers, you use for fundraising and it's flowing over the top red, that was my stress level. Because all I could think was, I am a planner at heart. And so I needed a plan. But I knew I am not, a one person show by any sense. I work at the board's direction. And so coming to you and you're our best resource, I have to say, Monica and May Create and all the great work you do there. You are one of the best resources in our community. So we started there. You kind of gave us all those structures and bones that we needed, but my stress level was through the roof. I'm not even kidding. I would go eat dinner and come back to my computer at 8 and 9 and 10 o'clock at night going, what are we going to post? What's our theme going to be? What ideas do I have? And it would be 11:30 at night and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm not done. So it was a huge relief. I can't even express in words what a relief it was to have a plan done in writing. And then my only task was to go schedule it out and make some tweaks, do some live things here and there. It was so much easier that December was a much better, happier month for me. So
I think it was a happier month for all of us because I think it set us up well also that when Loretta would send us live updates of oh my gosh, we're at this level or we're at this level. And that helped build us all up to be a supportive team and to get more words out there to get people to donate. So that was awesome.
I think that's a strategy that actually we should point out, that giving those updates regularly So everybody can be energized for that. And also we encouraged each other to post on our own social media. And I know I did one 11th hour post and 2 donations came
Yes.
in before midnight. And so again, just extending beyond our own individual, but also using our own social media and the posts that we share them back out. Loretta made some great content. When we had, for example, a theme of highlighting service providers who do in kind, then we then helped by getting an interview by a couple different people. So having that idea and then going out and finding those pieces that we could plug in, everybody working together, I think was a great strategy. And appreciate
Yeah.
Loretta and the great content. And
And
the team
Monica, you
willingly
asked a minute.
working every week. No, that's okay. Just meeting every week regularly was great commitment
Yeah.
on the team's part.
Yeah, Monica, you asked a minute ago about what we're going to do a little bit different next year, and I actually meant to point this out because I think in our last team meeting a couple weeks ago, we had talked about possibly doing like if you've ever heard of like a host party, except it would be a little bit different. It would be like an opportunity for someone to host an educational session, and that would provide a community of people that could come in together and get educated, and then that would also mobilize them to ignite a passion in their friends and their family and start doing things themselves to help combat trafficking, possibly become a partner, that kind of thing. So that was kind of a new idea we had come up with, and I want to bring that up because I want that to be an opportunity for people who are maybe hearing this Facebook Live.
And
Yeah, definitely.
we also didn't use the peer-to-peer support opportunity as well as we could. So we really want to get a jump on that better. We had a couple people who responded, and I think we could get a lot more mileage out of that peer-to-peer support if we just kind of attack that more intentionally. I'm sure we believe there would be people who would like to do peer-to-peer support as part of Como Gives.
And I think too that now that you have that framework that you guys built to power the campaign and market it, you can lean into that and you don't have to recreate that wheel. You could even use the same topics and just have new or different, even some of the same stories. It's not, I mean, if you haven't said them recently, who's to say that the person who sees them won't, be a new person viewing them. So hopefully you can kind of transpose some of that energy into a new adventure. Like I feel like every year you have to try something a little bit new and then you have to see if it worked or not. And there's times where we try something new in the Como Gives campaign and we realize it didn't work in the very first week and we just turned it off. We're like, that didn't work at all. But it seems like you guys focused a lot of your energy on social media and it sounds like that worked pretty well for you.
Yeah, it did. We had a great plan. Part of our marketing plan, and I don't know, I'm not like, you can probably speak to this better. Our marketing plan included emails.
Mhm.
So not only did we, decide what and when to post on all of our social media channels, but we also decided what and when to send out emails to help with that because we have a really great database of supporters by email. And so that was kind of a key piece as well that we felt like we did better and differently this year. That last year we didn't really key in on the email piece and we weren't as intentional with it. And this year it went really well.
I was a little crazy about the email motivation this year.
It worked. It totally worked. It motivated us.
I know it works though. And I mean, if they see your information on Facebook, Facebook doesn't act as their to-do list. A lot of people's email works like their to-do list on a daily basis. And so even if you just remind them, that's what needs to happen and just finding a good cadence for it. So, now I think my last question to kind of wrap ourselves up here is, so as I am encouraging people to plan out their marketing, I have people tell me, I kid you not, they're like, Monica, are you crazy? I don't have time to do this, right? They're like, I do not have time to plan. And I'm like, so what would you tell those people who are looking at me, telling me that I'm crazy about planning and how it impacts your time?
Oh my gosh. Like if planning makes me so much more efficient and it's not just, it makes me happy too, but setting that aside, Like I know what I'm going to do. I know how to do it. I know when to do it. And it seriously, it like gave me minutes and hours back in my day by making that plan. And I'll be honest, like it was a little intimidating to start at first, but it is so nice that we had such a great supportive board and committee to come alongside and go, here's what we could do, here's how to do it. And it made it much easier to get started. But yeah, you've got to plan. If you don't plan, you're just going to be stressed out for the entire month and not knowing what you're going to do. And I think the results will reflect that. So I think that's something that our results really reflected the great planning we did this year compared to last year.
And I think that's spoken by a details person, right?
And
I would say Loretta
also
probably a details person.
I am. Yeah.
And I am a big
like
picture person, and I feel the same way without a plan, okay? Because I forget all the details. Like you're like, yes, all the details are in a row. And I'm like, yes, I will not forget the details because I need a checklist.
Well, it's great. Like in one of your other podcasts, you talked about processes and how important it is to create a process. And I had never really given the thought to the importance of a process and why you want to create a process. And that's something we really did this year, was to sit down and create a marketing plan process so we could implement our plan. And now we have that structure and we have it written down. And next year is going to be so much better and easier and quicker because we have the process. So even if, like, God forbid I get hit by a bus, we have a process and they can go implement it and they don't need me because the content's all there. And that's kind of what you want to do. Like that, you want to, you want to plan so someone else could step in and do what you do in a seamless way. And that makes for a great organization. Because we all know, we all do some really, really great work. But if we're not there to do the work, we want somebody else to carry it on for us. So, and processes and great planning will do that for you.
And also, I think our board and along with Loretta, we do a lot of storytelling. So the board and Loretta, it's not like we have people over there who are working with survivors and the board just making sort of financial decisions. We are all an integral part of what's going on with survivors and their needs. And so that really helps with the storytelling. So whatever organization you're part of, you need to find those individuals. It's the volunteer, or if it is a staff person or whoever it is, that's whoever has got the stories. And I think that was one of the strengths, is that Loretta, along with her whole board, have an understanding of the stories that run pretty deep and long history of the stories of the survivors, and April and other board members who've been involved directly, Loretta who's been involved directly. So find those people who can help form those stories. And that was the strength that we had in our working together.
Yes.
Okay, so last but not least, tell people where they can get a hold of you and learn more about your organization.
So we are on Facebook, Stop Human Trafficking Coalition of Central Missouri, and also on Twitter. And Loretta, the third one.
Instagram.
Thank you, Instagram. I always want to say Snapchat, but I know that's wrong. Clearly, I'm not on. We have a toll-free number, 866-590-5959. We have an email address, help@stophumantraffickingmo.com, an MO for Missouri. You can find us on the website, stophumantraffickingmo.com, and you'll find the toll-free number and the email through our website. And also you'll see the announcement in the Eventbrite to come see the documentary next week, Thursday, Hope Road, about survivors of human trafficking. So,
well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I love all of your stories. Thank you for your time today, everybody.
It's been a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's almost time, friends. It's almost time for the Nonprofit Marketing Plan Workshop and Consulting Package Kickoff. Save the date. It starts February 24th and registration opens on February 13th. Now, if right now your marketing is making you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you're not sure what to say and you're confused about what you should be doing or how often you should be doing it, or if you're just like straight up tired of searching Google for answers and trying to do it on your own, then we can transform you through this process to a point where your marketing is less stressful and you're going to know what you're doing each day and week and know that it's enough to connect with your supporters and meet new people to power your mission. You'll be able to delegate your tasks more confidently, and your marketing will be more successful because you'll have a plan that you can actually do that capitalizes on the strengths of your team to connect with your audience. And last but not least, you will have solid reasoning at the end of this workshop and consulting package for your marketing decisions. So you can rule out why you would or wouldn't take all those very well-meaning suggestions or opportunities from board members, volunteers, media sales reps, or even crazy marketers like myself. So if you need more people to know about what you do so you can power your awesome mission, then regardless of your writing, design, or tech skills, less stressful and more successful marketing always starts in the same place, with a plan, and we can make it together. So join me for the Nonprofit Marketing Plan Workshop and Consulting Package. Save the date. The event is February 24th. That's when we're kicking off this awesome process, and you can sign up starting February 13th on mayecreate.com. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Nonprofit Marketing with Purpose. And until next time, you know what to do. Go forth and market with purpose.